What we are starting to dismantle now is the video of replacing the front swing arm and the shock absorber cone. Now we will remove the left and the right decorative cover as before, remove the fenders and remove the motor. Now we will start to loosen the drum brake. This can also be loosened. The drum brake fixing screws can be removed. Remove the fender. There's the blue glue inside. We need to heat it for 10 seconds. Heat each screw for 10 seconds. After heating, we use the corresponding tool to remove it. The same is true for the two screws here. After blowing, use the corresponding tool. The same tool is used to loosen the screws. After loosening, the front fender can be taken down. We can also unplug the motor wire. After unplugging, heat the nuts on both sides in the same way. After heating, we will loosen it. Also, our brake wire must be loosened. After loosening, pry it with a flat blade screwdriver. After loosening, we can disassemble it easily. The same is true for this side. After disassembly, the motor wire passes through here. Each model has a motor wire. There are two buckles here. The drum brake has a buckle here. Don't forget the two buckles here and the buckles here. Now we remove the fixed wire buckles on both sides. The same is true here. Remove the wire ends. After removing the motor wires, we put them here. Now the two nuts also need to be heated. After heating, we use tools to loosen them. After loosening, we remove the iron plate. If the iron plate is too tight to be removed, you can choose to use a hammer to knock it down like this, and then knock it again. If it still can't be knocked down, use a flat screwdriver to enter from this gap and knock it slightly. After knocking, use a hammer to knock it again, so that the iron sheet can be removed smoothly. The same is true for the parts here. Knock it once. If it can be knocked off, it is the best. If it can be knocked off, it is same as here. We first take out the shock absorber coil and replace the shock absorber coil. First, remove the 4 screws on both sides. 4 on this side and 4 on this side. After removing the screws, our cover cannot be buckled. If it cannot be buckled, use a hammer to gently tap left and right, and it will become loosened after shocking. Take out the bearing inside and put it inside. What about this side? Tap it in the same way. If it is still too tight, use a flat screwdriver to gently tap from this gap. Tap it from front to back. and the left to right, and it will come out. Now we are replacing this cord. You must not use an iron hammer when using a rubber hammer. The iron hammer will damage the swing. Use a rubber hammer to type gently first to see if it will loosen. We need to train to use some strands to knock hard so that we can remove an older shock absorber cord. After removing the shock absorber cord, we will now replace the swing arm. If the swing arm is good, we can directly install the good shock absorber cord and then we can install it as we disassemble it. If the swing arm is damaged, we start to disassemble the swing arm. We open the first lock at the back of the swing arm, press second lock in, and after laying it down, we use a hot air gun to turn on the maximum glare to heat the string heat screw. After heating, we put it in with the corresponding tool and bring the force roll. Otherwise, it will be difficult to move it by hand. We rotate it counterclockwise to loosen it. If it cannot be loosened, we continue to blow it with the hot air gun. Don't twist it hard, otherwise it will be damaged. After heating, we continue to try with the tool. We have loosened it, so we loosen it straight down. After removing the straw head, don't touch the screws to prevent burning. There is also a cover sheet inside to be taken out and then take the corresponding tool. There are screws on both sides that allow the steering column. We loosen it, just loosen it. It doesn't need to be loosened a lot, just loosen it. The same is true here. After loosening, we take down the folding assembly and type it gently with a hammer. After typing it gently, we can take it down. If it is still can't be taken down, we will lock it first, type this part. Then we can type this part again or type it inside like this. But the senility must be smaller than this one, not larger than it. After disassembly, we will use the corresponding tool to loosen it here and take out the iron sheet. Now we need to knock it down with a hammer. After knocking it down, we can remove a swing arm like this if you want to replace a new swing arm. If this bearing needs to be replaced, We can also find the corresponding wrench, loosen it and take out the bearing, and the arrow ring below can also be replaced. If it is replaced, we need to install it. First of all, the first step is now to put the arrow ring upside down. It must be flat and facing down. After facing down, the bearing has an angle facing up. The plane is also facing down and the angle is facing up. We install the bearing and fix the screw. After installation, we can install the shock absorber cone first. If the swing past it is not removed, it can be installed on top. If it is removed, we install the shock absorber cone below, which will be easier to install. Let's install the new shock absorber cone. How do we restore the installation position and install the shock absorber cone? It can be knocked out like we just did. How to knock it out and install it from which side? You can't knock it out from this side. It will be difficult to install from this side. We knock it out from this side, so we install it from this side, put it in. If it can be put in, we find a part to hold it up. We have to use the aluminum sleeve to knock it slightly like this. If it is not flat, it's not good, because there is still so many edges and so much that hasn't been put in. After we can't knock it down, we use a larger rubber hammer to continue knocking. Knock on both sides. After it looks like even, we don't need to knock or hammer anymore. We go up the shock absorber cone fixing cover on both sides. Use the screws we just removed. Use the same screws to remove it. Yuan, after trying it, read it as you will in the future. The corresponding direction is the same. We tighten it and check whether the button is installed in place. If it is installed in place, it is okay. If it is not installed in place, we can find a wooden frame. You can continue to knock on the four sides with a hammer and then continue to tighten the screws again after knocking and then tighten them again. The same can be done on both sides. After installing it, we start to install the front swing arm. When installing it, the bearing here is not in. We need to use a wooden hammer to knock the bearing in for easy viewing. After knocking it in, we take the bearing gasket with the flat surface facing up and add the screws with the arc facing down. After the screw is added, it falls like this, so it is normal to move up and down. We can install this assembly first. When installing it, there is a gap here in the assembly. It needs to be aligned with these screws. If it is offset, it will be knocked down. We take the rubber hammer, we can hit the hand below hard. We can grab it or not, knock it down first. There is still a gap here. After knocking it down, we now have to use our hands to push it up hard and then knock it hard. After knocking it in place, we can put down the hammer, replace the copper sheet, and put it on. Put it in here and apply more blue glue to this nut so that the edge surface is full of blue glue. Use the corresponding tools to align the threads first. After aligning the threads, we first tighten it by hand. After tightening it roughly, we put it on like this, put on the fourth rod and screw it closewise. When it is about the same, screw it to 80% of the force. 90% of the force is enough. If it is tightened too much, the direction will be. It will be very tight. After twisting it until we are almost done, we start to install the iron fork wire in front. After installation, we first tighten the two nuts, screw the membrane, and we also apply blue glue and tighten it with tools. After tightening, we start to install the model. The drum brake disc should be put in. The gap of the motor wire here must face downwards, not upwards. First, install a hook on the motor wire side. The direction of the hook should face the direction of our own installation. In this way, the motor wire is passed through it first. After passing through, the drum brake needs to adjust the direction. This hook is fixed at the bottom. Push it in and find the screws that fix the drum brake. Tighten it with tools, or you cannot tighten it. You can also put it on first. You can tighten it later to prevent the motor from falling off and slipping. Now add a hook on each side. This time, the hook is hooked inside to hook the nuts on both sides of the slot. The nuts should also be added with 5042 blue glue. We tighten the nuts. After tightening, we will tighten the screws that fix the brake drum again. Now we start to install the brake line. First, pass it through and add a little. First, turn the thread a little. We can fix the brake line here so that it can be put in. If you turn it too much, it can't be pulled through. If you turn it too little, it will fall off. Just turn it a few times and it will be easy to put in. We press the brake drum down. Tighten the screws and nuts. If you want to brake tighter, tighten more. If you want to brake looser, tighten less. Adjust according to personal preference. The same is true here. The three heads of the motor line must be aligned with the three heads. The several holes inside must be aligned. After inserting it, we now start to install the line buckle. To fix the line buckle, we can first raise the front of the car to tighten the motor line on this side. We also use the line hands to tighten it. After the line buckle is installed, we start to install the decorative cover. This side should be stuck in this groove and this side should be stuck in this groove. The same is true here. After tightening, there is exists motor line. We pull it or loosen it here. Loosen the motor line a little so that it can be tightened again. We install the fender, and the same four holes should be stripped with the blue glue. After dripping blue glue, we install it and tighten the screws on both sides. The video of replacing the swim arm and the shock absorber cord has been shot.